multidimensional goddess, or Acrah Harding, is a roughly 30-year-old woman living in Perth, Australia, who at first glance may seem to just be an average ordinary Joe. But when you go out and find the singular video everyone over on TikTok knows her for, you'll find out that Australia doesn't just have scary, god-awful spiders trying to break into your home and harm you, but daycare workers who you really shouldn't trust alone with your toddlers. With their inability to understand why people are so harsh to PDF files on the internet, and very early on, Grubbas, you'll see that's because that subject hits very close to home. In this next video, I'm about to show you guys one thing I find incredibly interesting about the type of person Acrah is, and a lot of the other people I cover, is this incessant need to overshare their feelings on the internet. And in Acrah's case, it's very weird knowing the internet hates PDF files, but then going ahead and sharing her feelings on the matter, expecting it to be well received. Let's get right after that.
This one's going to be triggering for people. It will. It will. Okay. Alright. So, there's something about my path, my journey, that I'm not necessarily like secretive about. Everyone in my life knows about it because I'm compulsively honest and open, and yeah. But I know that like saying it publicly, there's gonna be like backlash, and I'm like, that's only because people don't understand. And I'm like, well, I can explain from my perspective, and some people are gonna get it and some people are not. Some people are gonna look for reasons to hate when it's not really necessary. But that's just what people do, and it depends on what part of their journey they're at, I suppose. It depends on what they've personally gone through and what wounds they haven't healed yet. And I know that other people's response to things isn't about me. It's about them and what they're going through. So I'm gonna try not to like fear of being misunderstood by random people that I don't even know stop me from being honest and telling my story. So here goes, I guess. Controversial topic. Files. So when you hear that word, if your mind automatically jumps to sex offender, that is not the same thing.
Now, I know her own intro was a little bit of a nothing burger going into this, but I needed you guys to keep her demeanor getting started with this in mind. I mean, she seems just weirdly super giddy to be talking about this controversial topic, as she'd like to put it, or talking about PDF files. And the weirdest thing getting into all this that I'd like to highlight is the fact that she starts talking about how everyone's going to have their hateful opinion. She's going to get hate comments no matter what, but they're really unneeded. I mean, she even says at the end of the day, people are just looking for reasons to hate, which maybe I'd understand if she was talking about what new Fortnite skin sucks and which one's nice, but she's talking about PDF files here. She's trying to come off all quirky and innocent, like she's just telling her truth and that people are gonna hate her because that's just what people do, and in reality they're just responding to their own unhealed traumas that they've yet to grow from. And I know she hasn't even stated anything yet, but it almost seems like we're getting a preemptive defense before she even starts admitting anything. I mean, starting off with judging the audience for your mind going immediately to sex offender as soon as you start talking about PDF files, like, yeah, a lot of people have very disdain and distrust and hate for people who are attracted to those who are under the age of 18, because yeah, when do you ever hear about a PDF file who hasn't offended or harmed a child? Or at the very least in all these sting operations, attempted to. Why don't we see why Acrah wants to be so clear that a PDF file doesn't automatically make them a sex offender, or how we should be ashamed of ourselves for even thinking that.
Okay, and let me just explain what I mean by that. Technically, if you get down to it, we're talking about the meaning of words here, and the definition of a pedophile is someone who has an attraction to children, but And I suppose because there's not that much, like, clarification around the fact that there's different attraction. There's, like, love attraction, and then there's sexual attraction. So, I don't really know if it's just about attraction or if it was about love attraction.
Now here, I don't really understand this brain dead take at all. Do we really need to get into the semantics of what exactly makes a PDF file and how it doesn't clarify whether or not Diddler Dominic wants to romance your niece who's 4 years under the age of 18, or whether he's going to live up to his name and diddle and dip? Because I don't really care, especially in the case of all these stings that go down with these PDF files, which is where they're most prominently shown in media, because half of them do state they're just there for a little date and they wanted to get to know the person. Because regardless of whether or not they're just romantically in love with someone that young or they just want to get to diddling, that's extremely inappropriate and disgusting for them to be attracted to someone that young.
Because, yeah. But the thing is that these people, these files, they can choose, obviously, whether or not they're going to act on the thoughts, desires, and stuff they have, right? So, you're a pedophile whether you act on them or not, right? So, it's not something that people can really control. If you're attracted to whoever you're attracted to, right? But, so, my story is about, not, I think I realized that the definition, I'm pretty sure, I think is just like an exclusive attraction to children. Which is not what's going on with me. That's not what's going on with me.
Oh, thank goodness, right, Grubbas? She's not exclusively attracted to those who are that young. I don't get that. She's trying to farm some sympathy points for all the PDF files out there because they just can't control the fact that they are attracted to who they're attracted to. It's not really their fault. They were just born that way. And really trying to highlight here that they can choose whether or not they're going to offend, and that we should almost praise those that choose not to. Like, am I supposed to give a creepy Uncle Jim a pat on the back every single time he stares longingly at an elementary school instead of firing up the white van? Like, yeah, while absolutely someone with these urges should choose not to offend, that's literally just the bare minimum. I'm not praising jack shit until I've seen a follow-up of extreme therapy and maybe even on the top of that, avoidance of children in general for the rest of your life. If you're plagued with that type of urge, it should be your number one priority in your day-to-day life to control said urge and set up steps and safety nets to keep you from acting on those. And stay tuned, by the way, because of course, not only is she not avoiding kids, she's a mother herself who has a very young boy in her care while recording this video.
I'm attracted to, well, I wanted to sleep with some dude in his 60s. Like, age isn't a thing for me, in either direction. But, in saying that, let me explain how I figured out all of this, okay? Don't hate me yet. Finish the video, okay? Fuck. Alright, so when I was 17, I started doing this course. It was a childcare course. It was a childcare course. So I did that. I did all of the theory stuff. It was super fucking easy. All really easy. And then when it came time to do prac, yeah, I went to go do the prac, and sorry, I gotta turn notifications off next time. I can't be fucked now, so you're gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, when I went to prac, there was this boy in one of the classes that I was in. He was like 4 or 5 or something, but he kept saying that he loved me, and I got huge butterflies. I got huge butterflies when I saw him, and I wasn't coping at all with the fact that I was having these feelings. It was fucking with my head so much. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What does this mean? What does this mean about me? What is this? What's gonna happen? Like, what do you mean? Yeah. So because I was not coping with that, I kind of stopped going to the daycare for the prac. I needed some time. I needed to process what the fuck was happening in me. But that's the thing, on the last day that I was there, no, I ended up having a break for way too long, and they were like, you can't come back now. You missed it. Can't complete the course. And I'm like, okay. Okay. I accept this. That is fine. I suppose. But the last day that I was there, I came in to work so excited to see him. But that day, he called me a poopy head, and I cried so hard. I was so devastated that he was calling me a poopy head. I was so sad. I was like, he doesn't like me anymore. And,
What a wild statement. Age isn't a number for her in either direction. Are we supposed to, again, praise you? Because if there's someone under 18 and someone who's 65 at a bar, you're just as likely to hit on either of them. And then following that with, oh, don't hate me, guys, just finish the video. Like, no, there's nothing you can say after that statement that's gonna make me think you're any less of a shitty person or any less of a disgusting person. And spoiler alert, guys, she doesn't explain it away. She digs her grave deeper and deeper as the minutes tick forward in this video. And the beginnings of that are on display when a 4 or 5-year-old boy gives her butterflies when he says, I love you. I don't know if any of you guys have been around kids in your life, but sometimes they can just be very affectionate to just about anyone who's cool or nice to them. So you're not all that special, for one, for having a little 4-year-old boy say, I love you. That's just something that kids do. So her getting butterflies in her stomach, feeling the sparks in the air, it's just, oh my god, it's so disgusting. And then not only that, if we put aside the fact that she's having these weird, disgusting feelings for these people who are so young, her getting rejected by them warranted the same exact reaction a 17-year-old girl would have in real life to one of her own peers rejecting them. Like, if a little kid calling you a poopy head reduces you to tears, genuinely, that's enough in and of itself to be a wake-up call to go seek help. Let alone the fact that this was, in essence, a little boy rejecting her love. What an awful person to exist and breathe the same air as me.
it took me a few years after that before I realized that that was a child altar inside me. That was one of my child versions of myself that was having a crush on this boy. It wasn't like adult parts of me, but there's still like this confusion because like my body was 17 at the time, so I'm like, does that mean that there's a 17-year-old in me who feels that way, where technically a 17-year-old is still a kid, but no. But no, right? Yeah, so it took me a few years to like forgive myself for even having those feelings, because now I realize, oh, it was a part of me that was like the same age as him that felt that way. And that's not to say, that is not to say that I think that it's okay for me in an adult body to follow through with anything. Because that's not a thing. It's not a thing. So, I mean, when I was a kid, I was obviously sexually abused by someone. I know my brother was doing stuff to me when I was 8, but I was doing stuff with my female friends earlier than that, and I'm not sure where I learned it. And there's this stuff about the babysitter that could be a thing, but honestly, if I'm being completely honest, there's been a whole lot of breadcrumbs about it being my dad that was abusing me. So there's that. But anyway, moving on. After the childcare course, I tried to do a teacher's aid course. I just wanted to, because, like, that part of me went away and I was normal again. And I was like, okay, we need a job, we need to study. I'm great at communicating with kids. That's because I become a kid a lot of the time. So that's where that comes from. I can see from a child's perspective because I have a child's perspective a lot of the time.
Wow, she had such a hard time coming to terms with the fact that she had these feelings, and it took her a very long time to forgive herself, which I don't really care whether or not you forgave yourself. It's still, the feelings were there. Again, here we go again with her not removing herself from the situation, because what better field to go into other than teaching when it's very clear that you have an issue with having these disgusting feelings for people of this age? And her reasoning for this is because she's got a child's perspective a lot of the time with this child alter of hers. And I thought we'd left this in 2021 with that trend of everyone saying, oh, I've got 3 identities that live within this body. Like, for one, that disorder is extremely rare, and I seriously doubt this lady has it. I think this is just a weak cop-out, a weak excuse explaining away these feelings that she had. And that was why it's totally appropriate for her to go into the field of teaching, because now she can use this alter to her advantage, because she's got a child's perspective a lot of the time. And I'd say she's just as naive as one, expecting this video to be well received on the internet. One thing before we keep going I'd like to highlight is that smile and giddy nature again coming up when she says, oh, of course it wouldn't be okay for me to go through with anything. It's just the way she said it really irked me. She got all smiley and giggly at talking about it. So clearly there's something weird with their feelings regarding going through with acting on her urges. And then yet again some more explaining away why she is the way that she is with the lore drop about how she was abused as a kid. So you'd think maybe she'd want to save or keep some kids from having to be completely traumatized the way that she's been traumatized, but no, of course she'd put herself in situation after situation where she'd be around kids yet again.
Yeah. So I went to TAFE, I did the teacher's aid course, and they assigned me to kids around 5 or 6. So again, all of the work was easy and it's fine. But then when I went to go do the prac, I was there for a week or maybe a few days or something, and I didn't get any feelings for anyone. But the memory of that happening kept haunting me, and I kept being afraid that I would develop some feelings for someone. So I stopped going to that prac as well, and I failed that course as well, just because of fear that I would feel something. But then I'm like, I see all of this stuff in the news now about like childcare workers doing bad things, and I'm like, how could they do that? Like, when I thought that I was going into a line of work where I might even potentially like traumatize someone, I couldn't do it. How could people go into work knowing that they're going to like, I don't, so when I was a kid, obviously someone abused me and it made my life so fucking hard because it changed the way that I see things. I assumed that all of my like fragmentation is because of trauma. I know that it's like an accumulation of trauma from multiple different lifetimes and from like genetic.
Now, I don't want to get into that whole multiple different lifetime spiritual baloney, but oh, and did you see those waterworks, Grubbas? Crying her eyes out. The sympathy bait is in full swing. We should feel so proud of her for removing herself from that situation. And she can't really seem to understand why someone else would put themselves into a position where they could harm a kid like that. And yeah, I've been asking myself that same thing this whole time. If she very clearly knows that the urges are there and she very well could traumatize someone, and she's tried to remove herself time and time again from that situation, but time and time again, she also finds herself back into a position where she's around this specific age group, around 4 to 6.
I know that it's all of that as well, but I was always adamant that someone did something to me and made me the way that I am, and I struggle. I find life really fucking hard. You know, I mean, not when I'm following God and the universe and the guidance and the intuitive hits and all of the puzzle pieces and breadcrumbs. Like, life is so fun and exciting when you do that, and it takes you places that you didn't expect, and then you meet people that give you energy that you didn't expect, and you get information, and it's all fucking amazing. But I didn't expect that my path would lead me to ascension. I expected that my path would just be struggle the entire time. So I did not want that for anyone else. And even now, knowing that it's like led me to the point of going through an ascension journey, that's not. See, I've learned some things about myself throughout this whole thing. When I was younger, I tried to convince myself that if anything were to ever happen between me and someone underage, it would be because they approached me about it, and they were very adamant about it, and they seemed to know exactly what they wanted, right?
What a disgusting notion to suggest that someone that young could even want or know what anything like that was enough to be able to consent, let alone start making moves on you. And just keep this revelation of hers in mind as we move forward, because she says some things that make this statement way more concerning too. She's just implying that someone that young can even understand enough to know what they want regarding that. Now, Grubbas, I'm no psychologist. The furthest I ever got in psychology was taking it as a class in high school. But look at how her eyes start to light up when she starts to talk about the conditions that have to be met for something to happen between her and someone that young. Look at how the smile grows on her face when it comes to talking about how exactly something like this between her and someone that young would occur, and why it would occur, and why it would be okay in her own head. I can't say enough how much of a disgusting and sick individual this person is.
I don't see things that way anymore. Because my son has been really creepy with me lately. And I've felt uncomfortable, and I've had to be like, no, this is not a thing. Like, he's 4 now, so, but, like, for instance, he sometimes, like, he tries to watch me get dressed or whatever. If he catches me, he will mention my boobs. Yesterday, he walked up to me and he just, like, reached up and was about to just fucking double grope me. And I was like, no. I have gropey trauma with my grandfather. He, like, I feel like I'm being traumatized by my son trying to lift up my shirt, and he, that's right, he fucking just crawled up on my bed when I was trying to relax, and he groped the same boob that my granddad groped, and it was creepy, and it felt like he was being possessed. And I
hope you guys are remembering her conditions on how something might go down between her and someone that young. She starts going on and on about her kid being creepy now and how it feels like she's possessed. She starts crying like, no, we don't feel bad for you. Your kid isn't traumatizing you back now. I don't get it. Any grown adult knows that someone that young doesn't have boundaries yet because they don't understand. They don't know any better. So of course they're gonna do some shit that maybe wouldn't be okay if you were grown. But it's literally as simple as parenting your kid and teaching them right from wrong that starts to prevent things like that if it truly does make you uncomfortable. And the reason why it makes her uncomfortable is because she's a disgusting person who has some very different dastardly thoughts about people that young. And we're supposed to sit here and believe, after she went on, smiling about the conditions that would have to be met for her to traumatize a kid, and immediately claim that those conditions were met and that she didn't traumatize a kid. She's so disgusting. And I want to put my Grubbas minds at ease. She had one young fella in her care that it was swiftly taken away from her after mass reports to local authorities in her area. So thankfully the authorities did one thing right and took that poor little fella away from this disgusting, depraved, and sick individual.
I was like, what the fuck? And there was one time where he was trying to, like, but it was the same day, it was the same time, it was within the same time frame, and he tried to he was like giving me raspberries on my belly and stuff, but then, like, when he did it, his energy was shifting and he didn't feel like him anymore, and he felt like someone was controlling him, and I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? And then he I think it's like he, like, started to go lower, and I was like, no, like, what are you doing? And then he, like, crawled up and groped me, and then I freaked out a little bit, and I was like, I don't want, I'm like, what are you doing? And I realized that I was wrong the whole time, even if a child would try something with me, I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, and I would stop it and push it away, and I was just like, what the fuck? But you know the creepiest part about that time? Right after that, he crawled up to me and he whispered in my ear, I'm your sister. And my sister I've been getting all of these messages saying that my sister's been using all this dark magic or something, and trying to twist everything against me, and doing these rituals and stuff, and trying to, like, put cursed items and stuff in with all of my belongings because it was at the house that she was in. Like, all of this random crazy shit, right? And the fact that I thought that I felt like he was being controlled, and then he whispered, I'm your sister, to me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the actual fuck? Okay, what the actual fuck? Yep. So that's that.
So right here has to be some sort of unchecked, unmedicated mental illness on full display, because what do you mean your sister is now conducting dark magic to make you out to be a PDF file, possessing your child into tempting you or something? Like, again, she's reaching out to the people of TikTok, sympathy baiting, begging to be praised and validated for controlling her urges around her own son. Like, what is she trying to do here? I keep asking myself that question as the seconds tick on. Like, what exactly was the point of this video other than to out herself as a PDF file to the world, to her family, and to the Australian authorities? I just possessed dark items using dark magic to control her kid into making her out to be a PDF file. Did we not just state that she had this whole personal battle, personal conflict about the fact that she was in fact a PDF file, that she did have these urges, these feelings around people very young? So unfortunately for her, the fact that she folded under zero pressure on the internet and already admitted that those feelings were very much there, this whole dark magic, your sister tempting you and forcing you to be a PDF file, that argument is just not going to hold up in court. And big props to the Australian authorities for taking her kid away from her. I am so happy that that kid doesn't have to live with and most likely be traumatized by such a monster.
That's the opposite kind of child sexual abuse. Now I feel traumatized. But that means that my sister is trying to fucking manipulate things spiritually to, I don't know, to turn me into what she's telling everyone that I already am. I don't know. It's gross, and I don't like it. So yeah, living with the knowledge that I feel that attraction that I sometimes just can't control, and it fucks with my head. Knowing that I can't act on it, and apparently I don't want to. I definitely know I don't want to with my own children. That's the thing, because I've been traumatized by the mere notion of it. It's really hard to know that that's just what happens in your brain naturally, and people hate you for it, and you can't help it, and you don't even like it. And you know, I just hate all of the calls to violence against files when we don't all fucking do shit. Then again, if it's exclusive distraction, then that's not it. You know what I mean? So I get triggered when people talk about like hunting down all the fucking pedos and stuff, and I'm like, do you know how much these people struggle within their own minds with themselves? Do you know how much they would have to, do you know how much shame there would be? Do you know how much they would have to hide about themselves from everyone just to feel accepted? Do you know, like, it's not a path that you choose, and it's not an easy one either. So it kind of like breaks my heart knowing that there are other people out there similar to me that can't control that feeling but can control their actions, but they're still hated even though they have top tier self-control.
Right after she got done of accusing her sister of black magic, of witchcraft, it almost seemed like she was complaining about not being able to act on those urges. Something about her phrasing and her demeanor, it seemed like she was really complaining there, which made it even more evident, made her seem a little more guilty, when she immediately backpedaled about how, oh no, of course, I could never do something like that because that would also traumatize me right back. I just can't believe that the damage this lady's done to her reputation over the course of 20 minutes, literally as every minute went by, your opinion got worse and worse and worse of her. And throughout this entire video, and I'm sure my Grubbas have been too, we're wondering, why would she post this video? Why would she out herself for having these feelings? And right at the end there, we got it. She hates that there's been so much calls to action in the media and everywhere about how we should be doing things to harm PDF files, which I don't condone violence, but can you really blame the general public for getting violent over someone committing the worst act you could possibly ever commit? I mean, there's people who have done the most terrible things, awful things to another human being you could ever possibly do. They're in prison, and when it comes to someone like a PDF file, even they disgust them. But no, this whole video was her trying to show everyone their perspective, trying to humanize and normalize PDF file tendencies and normalize those feelings that an adult can have for someone so young, which no, it should never and will never be normalized. It'll never be okay. The sympathy bait is kicked into overdrive because she's all like, do you know how much these people suffer day after day controlling their urges just to feel accepted? What did she say? Top tier self-control? That's ridiculous. Like, no, again, I stated it earlier on. The only praise you're going to get from me is maybe from heavy therapy. That's it. Clearly, she's done nothing to keep herself from traumatizing a kid other than just claim she's never done it. But McGrubb is sick of thinking about and talking about this person from the land down under, so. Again, luckily we had a mostly happy ending here with the fact that her kids were taken away from her, so at the very least, she no longer has access to them, so she can't traumatize those. So again, huge shout out to Australian authorities and the father of those children for doing that. But someone wonderful in my personal life showed me this person and said I should make a video on them, so big shout out to them for showing me this. I felt like I had to show everyone on here Acrah's disgusting backwards logic because it aligns so perfectly with other people we've covered, such as Cyrax's own reasoning as to why this sort of behavior or affection is okay. But if you liked what you saw here today, don't forget to comment your own opinion, like up and hype up the video, and maybe even subscribe if you thought I was that awesome. A huge thank you to all the people who've been sending me all this fan art. It's awesome and I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. Later, Grubbas.